Xbox are having a great year so far, and Xbox Game Pass has been offering us some fantastic titles so far this year, and we're only in March. With that in mind, Xbox have provided us with the Game Pass offerings for the remainder of March and into April, and these are some great additions to the growing service. My name is Fletcher, this is Xbox Nation. Subscribe for more Xbox content every single week, and let's dive right into these games. Launching today onto Xbox Game Pass, we have Lightyear Frontier, and I know many have been anticipating this within the Xbox community. This is a farming game with a very unique take on the traditional formula, as it puts you in huge mechs. You will settle down on a beautiful new planet and begin your farming adventure as you build a farm, plant and harvest alien crops, and discover ancient secrets scattered across this new frontier. This game looks stunning graphically, but you can explore it with your friends, and it really takes the farming genre to a completely new level. The amount of customization options and tasks to complete look incredible, and the game seems super well polished even though it's only entering the Xbox preview program. You can play Lightyear Frontier today across cloud, PC, and the Xbox Series X and S. We also have MLB The Show 24, which launches today as well onto Xbox Game Pass. This is the next yearly installment, and if you're a fan of baseball, then you know what to expect with these games, but this entry seems to be adding in a ton of huge new content, especially paying tribute to the legends of Negro Leagues. There have been a ton of changes into this new entry, and the developers have given us a course of the action over the past couple of months, and the new additions and gameplay changes look absolutely fantastic. The full release is today for this new yearly entry, and it's available for all Game Pass subscribers across cloud and console. Joining Game Pass on the 20th of March, we have the excellent horror game known as The Quarry. This is an interactive drama horror game that is coming from Supermassive Games, who are the masterminds behind the cult hit Until Dawn. And The Quarry certainly gives us another phenomenal experience from this studio. This time the game is set on the last day of a summer camp where teenage counselors of Hackett's Quarry are throwing a party to celebrate. And as you can imagine, things do take a dark and blood-drenched turn as partying turns into life or death situations. If you're intrigued by the idea of a 10 to 15 hour interactive movie or a game that blends cinematic storytelling and occasional player input, this is the game for you, and it will be available on all Xbox consoles and cloud. The day after, we have a pretty decent old western action game coming to Xbox Game Pass, which I've played through already and recommend to any subscriber, and that is Evil West. This game really reminds me of games from the 360 era, which certainly isn't a bad thing, especially as it's a one and done story, but really emphasizes a great narrative and some really addictive combat. The combat may seem rather bare bones early on, but it will get more complex and rewarding just a few missions in. The story is close to what we have seen many times before, but it does what it has to, and it does it well. I cannot say more than I highly recommend this to anyone who enjoys the idea of being a Nikola Tesla cowboy pummeling vampires to a rather chunky pace. It comes to Xbox Game Pass for console, cloud, and PC on March 21st. Now, for all you PC Game Pass gamers out there, we have a PC Game Pass game coming on the 26th of March in game preview, and that is Terra Invicta. To put it simply, this game is The Expanse meets XCOM. You start playing out what is essentially a grand strategy game on Earth, competing with 6 other factions to control countries and decide a response to the aliens' arrival. Whilst doing so, you are interfering or aiding alien operations on Earth, depending on your faction. This part of the game looks fairly simple from the outside, but it's actually a fairly sophisticated little international relations / country management sim where you're directing the spending of foreign policy of the nations you control via your counselors. If you love strategy games with XCOM-like mechanics, then you definitely need to try this on PC. The reviews are very positive, and I don't think we expected any different from the creators of The Long War. Easily the biggest game of the March Game Pass offering is arriving on the March the 28th, and that is the AAA juggernaut Diablo IV. This is the first Activision Blizzard game we are seeing enter Game Pass since the acquisition closure, and my god is this an excellent game, especially if you've never tried the franchise before. Diablo IV was one of last year's biggest hits, and with its seasonal updates we are now being brought to the Season of the Construct, which I believe is the 4th season of content. If you're unfamiliar with Diablo, this is an ARPG with a dark, fantasy, gruesome story, and has really brought this style of game up to modern day standards. It is incredibly addictive and very hard to put down. This game will continue to provide a fresh experience for players, and now with the game coming to Game Pass, it will open it up to the service's 34 million subscribers, and that will be a huge boost for the remaining player base. it will be available for console and PC Game Pass subscribers on March 28th. With Hot Wheels Unleashed leaving Game Pass at the end of March, it was only right that Milestone have blessed us with the next entry in this series. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 took everything that was fantastic about the original game and amped everything up to 11, and even includes ATVs and motorbikes for the very first time. There are a lot of new and better tracks than the original, more cars to collect, and the additional driving mechanics really solidify this entry as one of the best arcade races on the current generation of consoles. As to be expected, you can make your own tracks, publish them online, and play with friends in some really chaotic and fun races. The attention to detail on each Hot Wheels car still blows me away today, and shows Milestone really put care and attention into this game. It comes to Game Pass for console, cloud, and PC on March 28th. After a few delays, we are now getting the release of Open Roads on Xbox Game Pass, and it is coming as a day one release. Open Roads looks to be following in the first-person storytelling footsteps of its predecessors, but rather than being confined to a single place like past games, it will quite literally have you hitting the open roads. On this journey, you'll be seeking to uncover long-lost family secrets and hints of a hidden fortune. Open Roads really ups the ante in terms of art style and looks absolutely stunning, and we don't have to wait much longer, and I cannot wait to delve more into this journey and find out more as we go miles down the roads in the Open Roads. It arrives for console, cloud, and PC on March 28th. Now, ARK has been around for years at this point, and within the past couple of years, the developers released ARK Survival Ascended, which was the big Unreal Engine 5 update which many gamers have been waiting for. This is a massive PvE experience with a lot of PvP elements, and exploring the huge open world that has roaming dinosaurs that are small and huge really makes ARK stand out amongst the crowd. The game is essentially a remaster, with the main change being the graphics. The game is absolutely stunning, and Wildcard have also said they made improvements under the hood for optimization. I know many are still very mixed on this release, as the core underlying mechanics and gameplay bugs are still present. However, if you're looking to jump into ARK again or want to try it for the very first time, then this is the best way to play it. It arrives onto Xbox Game Pass for Xbox Series consoles, cloud, and PC on April 1st. For all you cloud gamers out there, courtesy of EA Play, you will now be able to play F1 23 on Xbox Cloud Gaming starting on April 2nd. This new entry brings us back into the cockpits of your favorite racing drivers, and I picked up this entry on release, and I will certainly give it credit for being one of the best packages for racing and F1 fans, as it contains a lot of content and an incredibly robust multiplayer package. As to be expected from a Codemasters game, the driving is phenomenal and the controls are incredibly tight, and this entry also saw the return of the Breaking Point story mode. It is certainly worth a play if you want to experience this story alone, but it's a great racing game that I can always heavily recommend. One game that never got much appreciation as its first entry in the series, but is phenomenal and introduced even greater mechanics, is SUPERHOT Mind Control Delete. If you like the original SUPERHOT, this is basically that, but with 3 playable characters, roguelike style runs, upgrade shops, and new enemy types. In my opinion, it's arguably better than the original and really brings us so many unique elements that I didn't even think of when playing the original masterpiece. If you haven't played SUPERHOT before, then the most basic explanation I can provide is that time moves when you move, and it's your job to take down glowing red enemies with any tool at your disposal. You can dodge bullets like you're in the Matrix, throw, shoot, and punch objects, and ultimately one hit and you're dead. It can get quite brutal in terms of difficulty at times, but there's a reason why SUPERHOT is so highly regarded by many around. This new entry drops into Game Pass for cloud, console, and PC on April 2nd. In case you missed it, Sleight of Hand also got announced at the Xbox Partner Preview event for the very first time last week, and it is coming day one onto Game Pass for console and PC in 2025. The announcement trailer for Sleight of Hand introduces players to Lady Luck, who is a former detective who has been cast off from her former coven, but is given the opportunity to return to Steeple City and exact her revenge. You'll be able to use Lady Luck's cursed cards to cast smoke-based magic that can help you move through stealth even easier. You'll be able to evaporate into a puff of smoke to evade patrols, take down goons with lethal cards, and create stacked combinations that are undeniably powerful. This studio is headed up and ran by industry veterans from Metal Gear Solid, God of War, and Tomb Raider fame, so this is certainly looking to be one of 2025's most anticipated game releases. 11-Bit Studios also released a first look of their upcoming game, which is also coming to Game Pass day one sometime this year, and it's called The Alters. This is a new IP that is heavily inspired by the critically acclaimed title This War of Mine, but this time The Alters thrust players into a heart-pounding battle for survival that the protagonist Jan can't conquer alone. After crash landing on a desolate planet with a scorching star, Jan must avoid the murderous conditions by taking refuge in a cutting-edge mobile base. The gameplay that was shown looks absolutely stunning, and the fact you can build bases, sustain life, and craft on top looks incredibly well done. There's no fixed release date yet for this one, but it comes to Xbox consoles and PC day one into Game Pass sometime this year. 11-Bit Studios were also on a bit of a roll at the moment, and they also announced their new game called Creatures of Ava. This is a creature saver game in which you will have to help creatures escape from an infection that is rapidly growing on the planet. This infection is threatening to wipe out all living beings, and your goal is to collect the creatures, not for your amusement or hurt them, but instead your goal is to save them. The very premise for this game is for it to be non-violent, but keeping it fun with a very relaxed nature. These sort of games always do incredibly well, and if you're interested, the game is coming day one onto Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2024. Strategy fans can also rejoice, especially as we saw more gameplay for the upcoming Frostpunk 2. This is the next entry in the award-winning series, and it has been confirmed for Xbox Game Pass for PC and is coming to console Game Pass later on this year. Frostpunk 2's city building elements begin on a larger scale compared to the original title, as the player takes on the role of steward to negotiate with different political factions and shape society. Not only does this new entry look like a massive step up in terms of visual quality, but the density and variety of options looks utterly staggering. Many had a hands-on preview of this title later last year and said it was incredibly exciting and one game that they wanted to play more of. The game is currently slated to be released on the 25th of July on PC and Game Pass, and is set 30 years after the original Frostpunk. One game that we already knew about back at the Xbox showcase last June was Kunitsu-Gami, and we finally got to see more detail about this action and real-time strategy combination. This game is clearly an interesting mix of action and strategy, with the player commanding units in real time. You'll be able to lead the action on the battlefield, as well as take part in combat with the units that you command. The setting looks wonderful as it's based in ancient Japan, and in some ways it feels like a modern take on Okami, which was another wonderful game. However, what really stands out is just how much this screams that it's clearly a Capcom game, from the art direction to the animation, and it's great to see this former company back on the rise. It comes to Game Pass sometime later this year. In case you missed it as well, a surprise drop onto Xbox Game Pass arrived last week, and that was NBA 2K24. I know that many fans are rejoicing that they can play the latest basketball experience on Xbox consoles and via the cloud. However, it will only be in the service for 6 months. This is ultimately the premier NBA gaming experience that has fully licensed teams, updated rosters, uniform stadiums, and so much more. I know many of my friends play this game every single year and sink hours into the My Team mode, in which you can collect cards, team build, and play against opponents online. This is a very large game in terms of download size, so make sure you have plenty of free space if you want to give this entry a go. What is your favourite game coming to Game Pass later on this month? Let me know in the comments below, along with a score out of 10 for this new offering. Whilst here, remember to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe for more Xbox content every single week. Why don't you check out these awesome single player games that are available on Xbox Game Pass right now with the video on screen right now.